It has been over a year since Fire Emblem Switch was announced, and we still know absolutely nothing about it. Speculation and supposed leaks have been abound, but the game still eludes us. As such, there lay an opportunity before it is inevitably revealed to still have our heads in the clouds and think of what it could be, what we want it to be. This video is a list of things I'm hoping to see changed in the upcoming game, a Switch list if you will. Keep in mind that these are not predictions, this is a personal list of what I want to see changed. As a result, there may be some picks on here that seem a bit far-fetched, but if there is a time to dream, the day is no better than now. Here is my Fire Emblem Switch list. When it comes to setting, Fire Emblem is incredibly conservative. Since the series' inception, each and every game has been set in a fairly stereotypical medieval fantasy world, and while the games in the series have taken inspiration from other areas of the globe such as Japan and Birthright, we haven't seen the setting truly change. Personally, I'm starting to get kind of tired of it. I want something new, something fresh, a setting that allows the writers and designers to explore new ideas with the story and level design. Whether going forwards or backwards in terms of time and technology, or taking inspiration from a place in the world other than Europe or Japan, I just want to see some more experimentation with the locales and weaponry. My personal pick would be an Arabian or Mesopotamian inspired setting with pre-Renaissance weaponry. It's just close enough a time frame to keep Fire Emblem staples like swords, axes, and lances, but the introduction of primitive firearms and artillery could be very interesting in gameplay. All in all, I feel like switching up the setting could help explore a lot of Fire Emblem's untapped potential. I don't think it's any secret that recent Fire Emblem games have often been lambasted for their storytelling. Whether it's Celica's actions in Part 4, or the Battle shenanigans in Fates, recent stories vary in quality from decent to forgettable. But that's not why I want the writing staff particularly to change. Much like how the setting has remained constant in Fire Emblem, so too have the general story beats. Young deposed lords, ancient dragons and gods behind conspiracies, there's a variety of tropes that have stuck around for quite a while and are starting to grow kind of tiresome. I'd love to see a more personal or intimate plot devoid of supernatural intervention, or if not that, a story that gives deeper insight on some of the themes Fire Emblem loves to explore, like justice, fate, and ideology. I think they should work with a proper game writer or author throughout the process, rather than just hiring one for only the scenario and running it into the ground like they did with Shin Kibayashi in Fates. My personal dream pick to lead a Fire Emblem writing project would be Yoshiki Tanaka, author of The Legend of the Galactic Heroes and The Heroic Legend of Arslan. He weaves compelling political narratives with intriguing character moments to create an awesome atmosphere that would mesh perfectly with Fire Emblem. He isn't a stranger to large casts of characters either. The Legend of the Galactic Heroes boasts hundreds of characters. Although it's pretty much impossible he would be hired or agree to a project like this, I would be so excited if he were in charge. Hopefully we see the writers they do hire attempt to experiment with the Fire Emblem plot formula or do something totally new. Fire Emblem has struggled to find its foothold in multiplayer for quite some time. It's not a huge surprise considering the majority of resources during development are spent on the campaign and story. The developers seem quite content to have mainly restricted multiplayer to things like castles and Street Pass, where you interact with the AI handling another person's units. In Fates there was that PvP mode, but it fell really flat for many players, mainly because it was just unit versus unit brawls with no objectives. In Echoes they just decided to abandon it entirely, so if it's been tried and failed, why am I suggesting it? Well, I don't think Fire Emblem PvP is inherently bad. It just hasn't received the attention it really needs to be effective. Designing maps specifically for multiplayer, objectives, and unique mechanics would go a long way to making the experience much more enjoyable. If that doesn't work, a co-op mode might be interesting. Maybe each player could have different objectives, such as one army has to hold the line while the other escapes, or maybe one player has to use their units to kill the enemy commander, while the other is on the front lines, waiting to exploit the confusion of the enemy losing said commander. There is a lot of unexplored territory here, and I hope they trek through it in Fire Emblem Switch. So there you have it, folks. That is my Fire Emblem Switch list. I honestly don't expect Intelligent Systems to make any of the changes I suggest, nor would I be mad if they stuck to the tried and true formula that has worked for them for so long. But it's always such a fun topic to think about what could be. For the comments, what would you like to see switched in the upcoming Fire Emblem game? It should be interesting to see what you all want from this series in the future. That's all for me today, guys. Thanks for watching.